Hello, hello.
Hello.
Good to see you, Dennis. I'm glad you're here.
All right, same to you. Thank you. Thank you for doing
Uh-huh.
this.
Absolutely. How'd you do during the ice?
That is pretty good. Yeah. I stayed safe anyway. No accidents or
Yeah,
anything like that. So,
that's me too. We lost internet for like 4 days, and
mm.
my cell phone service was super spotty, like in, out. So for a few minutes I could do something and then boom, gone. So
Mm.
that was challenging, but we were safe the whole time, no
Yeah, we didn't
problems.
have any problem with the internet or anything like that. So
Good for
where we
you.
where we live, we live in Denton here in Wind River part. They're on the same power grid as the hospital and the fire department. So
Ah,
anytime we hardly ever get a flicker in our power or electricity or anything. So, if you was it the year last year, the year before when they lost all
yeah.
the power and stuff, we had it the whole time and didn't even flicker the lights. So
Oh, you chose well without knowing it, probably, huh?
that's right, didn't know it. Good selling point when you get ready to sell. So
That's right. That's right. That's awesome. Well, good. Well, I'm glad you're here. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And I'm really hoping that people will watch this a little later. If because we are just having a rash of real estate scams. There in your office have been a few, and in other DFW offices have been a few. So I just wanted to take a minute and say this is real. It is happening to us. It's not like national news that, well, it never will happen in Denton. Oh, nope, this is happening. So just wanted to discuss a few of the ways that these scams are happening and why people are falling for them, I guess is the right word. Um, so gonna just talk through a few of the scams that are literally everywhere. Um, and if we're just careful, we can prevent them, I believe. But if we're acting without thought, sometimes I'm going to say it that way, acting without thinking, we can get caught up in a situation. So, first off, I loved this little cheat sheet that I found online. My favorite one is just the too good to be true, right? If it looks too good to be true, it is too good to be true. We've had a couple people there in the office where someone they don't know just saw an ad and called them and, "Oh, I can't wait for you to list this piece of property." Okay, well, we've had several, not just one, but several turn out to be fake landowners, right? They weren't the real owners of the property. And so we didn't get a picture of their picture ID or really anything. And it was the actual owner or the owner's brother or something who let them know, "Hey, I saw a for sale sign on your property." And then the real owner went, "Whoa, I'm not selling." So if it seems to be too good to be true, it probably is. Also, if the people are super unavailable after they make these unexpected contacts, and you just want to believe that, wow, your advertising and your reputation are working, woo! And I want that for you too, but also we need to, if it's unexpected, we need to be super careful out there right now. Um, this is direct from Zillow, and it is just a great reminder. Be wary of giving personal information, financial information, payments to someone you don't know personally. Zillow has many, 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 many fraudulent listings. Um, we'll have a property for sale and someone will come in and list it for lease for $1,000 when it would be a $2,500 lease all day long. Um, and they'll collect, people will apply and then send deposits. It's so sad. So there's nothing really that we can do about that other than report it as soon as we know about it. Um, so please, as you're working with people, tell people don't send deposits Don't send Western Union wires, all that, until and unless you have been allowed to tour the home in person. Who met you there? These long distance landlords who can't let you in, or I love it, they're all working for the Peace Corps somewhere else because they're just such awesome people. That's the one that we had recently get one of our clients was, well, he said he worked for the Peace Corps. Well, no, he's just completely unavailable, very difficult to reach. Red flag, right? Um, um, they also will send you some sort of verification code sometimes, and that we don't want to reply to that unless we ask for it. Like two-factor authentication, when you join something and you know it's coming, that's good. But if you just randomly get one, that's not good. And then I wanted to be sure you knew that this is the Internet Complaint Center, Internet Crime Complaint Center for the FBI. So even the number of complaints, and they don't have 2022 up yet, but the ones that go all the way to reporting to the FBI are skyrocketing. They're going up every single year. And we know from our own experiences that a very small percentage actually get reported to the FBI. So it's everywhere, y'all, everywhere. Reminding you that wire fraud is one of the biggest crimes committed these days. And they do it through business email compromise. They will copy your email, or they will copy the title company email and make it look like it's coming from Ann LaCusta, but Ann LaCusta at gmail.com is not my email address. That is not correct. Or they might make it say Ann LaCustra. They might add an R. And that's definitely not my email, right? So just be aware that it's little tiny things that we don't notice that allow all this fraud to go on. Never, 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 never be the one to give wiring instructions, right? Always, 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 always have something in writing where you've told them that wire fraud is alive and well. They really want to call the title company themselves and verify the wiring instructions. What I tell everybody today is that wiring the earnest money, or wiring $25 and then wire the rest, right? Don't wire the big amount first. Wire a smaller amount first, so that if you lose it, it doesn't really cause a serious financial harm to you. And then this was a class I took from First American Title, and I loved it because it was very detailed in how they told you to look out for scammy emails. Kindly is the #1 indicator of fraud. Any sort of email that says kindly, kindly do this, kindly do that, sometimes it's signed kindly. Those can be indications of fraud every time. Warning signs, emailed instructions that are urgent, high priority, grammatical errors, misspellings, last minute changes to how to pay, customer email off by one letter, number, or character, which is what I was talking about. And then they went through indicating kindly is the #1 indicator. There are also risk words. So they're kind of trying to scare you by using words like prevent, avoid, speak to the management if you don't do something. Negative words, they'll tell you what you must not ever do, or never should do this. Words calling you their friend, my friend, my longtime friend, my new friend, those words. And then mention of God. Most business people do not say anything about God in their wiring instructions if they're real. So signed and witnessed before God, those kinds of things can be an indication of fraud. Straight from First American Title Company. And so in addition to wire fraud, we're also seeing email fraud is basically the same thing, but this is fraud for property. And this is the one that has gotten Denton in trouble a couple of times. This is Candy Sturge. She writes here in DFW, and this is her article about criminals take advantage of real estate agents and title companies desire to close a transaction by impersonating another individual who owns a property. Through careful social engineering, these criminals are able to attack certain weak points in our industry to divert large sums of money to their own account. So a buyer believes they're buying from a seller, but it isn't the actual owner of the property. Unfortunately, we've even had title companies fall. Go Management, had a client close on a purchase of 10 acres with a small, it did have a small home on it also, but it was vacant. We had a buyer buy, and then the seller, they owned it for like 9 months and did excavation work on the property and built a new fence. They were working on the property because they owned it, closed at a title company, only to find out that the seller was fraudulent. And so, in fact, this buyer did not own it. Now, the buyer filed a title insurance claim and got all their money, including damages, all the money they'd spent on fencing and moving dirt around and a survey, and every penny. They got every penny back. So this story has a happy empty ending, but I can tell you that our agent that was in the middle of that, our buyer's agent, was horrified and spent hours sorting through this. So yes, the buyer got all their money back, but and is still using the agent to buy another piece of property. But the agent is going to have spent, I don't even know how many hours on this. So I don't really know what our agent as a buyer rep could have done differently outside of making sure that the listing agent, when it's any kind of a vacant property or undeveloped empty lot property, that the listing agent and the title company know and clearly identify that seller, because this is happening every day right now. And so these are where to report fraud, right? To the FTC, to that Internet Crime Complaint Center, to Western Union or MoneyGram if it involves them, report it to Zillow, all kinds of places to report fraud. And then also be sure that you are telling your sphere. This can be a value point for your sphere, that they want to sign up for property alerts. So if anybody files anything on their property or their property's listed in any way, all of our counties have just an auto property alert that they can sign up for. So this is a piece of value that you can provide to your sphere, while also helping fight fraud in our industry, right? So this is called a property fraud alert. And this is just all 4 of our big counties in the Metroplex, but I imagine all counties have this. And then this is even in our real estate magazine, protecting against property scams. So report it to the association. I mean, when and if this ever happens to you, report it to literally everyone. I can tell you right now, you're probably going to be disappointed in police response because I have been through that and they don't like come charging in to find out who's doing it, unfortunately, because it's so prominent and they really don't have the personnel. But report it to everyone you can because we need to do our part, right? This stinks for us on both sides of the transaction. We do all this work and it turns out to not be a genuine transaction. That's not who we want to be. So let's report, report, report. And just right, we all know this happens, a fake landlord scamming a renter. If you're working with a tenant, they need to know this is happening every day. Right? So that's why they would use you, because we're going to go out, we're going to unlock the home, we're going to deal with a reputable agent on the other side. we're going to help them avoid scams. Not that we always can, but we're going to have way more security in place than if they just dial random phone numbers. And then this is just a write-up about all the scams, how often it's happening. So this is protecting against deed or title scams. So these fake listings. And they're saying that to use an established professional is step one in protecting yourself against real estate title fraud, deed fraud. So we need to make sure that we are slowing down to be sure as we can about who the owner is, and is it a fake ID or not a fake ID, and what steps can we take to be careful. And sometimes it's not exactly a scam, it's just probate or divorce where they're not really honest or maybe don't know who has to sign the documents at closing. And so we list the property because they tell us it's okay to, and then we end up having listed a property incorrectly, um, almost illegally, because the person that we're dealing with has to get someone else's signature before they can actually transfer title of the property. So when you're doing a listing agreement, whoever has to sign at closing is whoever has to sign the listing agreement. That's the very best protection for you. And you want to ask the title company that in writing, right? Oh, these people think they're the heirs to this property. Can you verify for me exactly who has to sign and what they have to sign in order to transfer title to this property? Then you'll be listing the home, marketing the home, working through a contract, and you'll get to close because all the right people will be ready to sign a closing document if necessary. So, all right. And then mortgage fraud. I don't know, maybe 15 years ago, 12, 15 years ago, we went through a lot of mortgage fraud. Some very big agents in our area were participating in mortgage fraud. And mortgage fraud just occurs when someone intentionally or knowingly makes a false or misleading written statement in order to obtain a mortgage loan. So people lie about if someone gave them money to help them, they don't include that. They get a second mortgage, but they don't tell anybody, or they got a line of credit and they don't tell anybody. Sometimes they're stealing a borrower's identity. So they're closing as a person that they're not, and then they'll transfer the title into their name. The one that went on in a big way and involved a few real estate agents years ago was inflating property appraisals. So they had it appraised really high and then a low mortgage, and then quickly sold the property and banked all that extra money that the home was actually never really worth that. And this is a 2022 mortgage fraud report. The 2023, the reports from 2022 are not out yet. So this is about the second quarter of 2022 and how much it went up. That mortgage fraud was on the rise in 2022, and it was. And then here's all the common mortgage fraud schemes, right? This is the Texas Department of Insurance. So property flipping, pretend buyers, fictitious stolen identity, foreclosure schemes. The perpetrator identifies homeowners who are at risk of defaulting, and then they take money from those people to help them avoid foreclosure. It's just so sad. But all of these things are considered mortgage fraud. And then open house, right? We need to be super careful at open houses. So prescription drugs are very popular to be stolen at open houses. They can just put them in their pocket and walk out. And then things that the burglars will check out. So they need to not have bank statements laying out. They need to not have their jewelry available. And I always tell people, please don't hide it in your top dresser drawer. If you have something that's important, like prescriptions and jewelry and a wallet and a social security card, don't leave it in like the top drawer, go ahead and hide it down in your dresser. Or my favorite place to hide things is under the bed, because people really do not crawl around on the floor at an open house without that being a little more noticeable. So make sure that you understand sometimes that having a buddy who can also help you be present in the home is important, not only for your safety, right? We think about our own safety, and I love that, and I want you to focus on that. But also, it's homeowner safety, right? You are helping to keep the homeowner and that home safe. Um, and then I wanted to just pull this out because this is the thing that we personally, as an office, have experienced is that people come in and unlock doors and windows, hoping to be able to come back later, right? So they'll come in, take a good look around, leave a window open, um, leave a window unlocked, and then come back later. So it is important that you go around and check all the doors and windows before you leave after an open house. And then there's a moving scheme, right, that goes on. Movers come and provide an estimate to the home seller, and they'll get a 50% down payment or something and never show up. Or they'll show up and load part of the belongings and then say, oh, you owe us more. The quote wasn't enough. You have to pay us more. Or then they drive away with the belongings and you don't get your belongings back unless you pay that additional money. So again, as your people are getting ready to make a move, what kind of information are you providing to them? What kind of value are you providing to them? Are you telling them some of these things that are going on? I'm sorry to say, are you alerting them? And then this is just in general red flags and indicators of fraud. This is movers, how you might spot it in advance, right? So they don't accept credit cards. Well, that's a red flag, because a credit card, you can pull that money, you can pull that charge back, right? You can object to the charge. If you send them cash, you're going to have a hard time getting it back. There is a Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, and most reputable movers, that it's not about big or small movers, but most reputable are registered with them. And then there is a federal pamphlet that's required when they talk to you about moving. Your rights and responsibilities when you move is a federally required flyer. Just like we have things about lead paint, the IABS things, we just have to give people, all reputable agents do it. Same thing with movers. They have some things they just are required to do, and all reputable movers do it. So make sure that you are sharing with your clients how to take care of themselves and what to expect from anyone who knows what they're doing in the world of moving. And then I thought this was just a great page. I want you to know it's out there, so you can screenshot this if you want to. This is, we cannot give out crime statistics in a neighborhood. We cannot give out sex offender information, school rankings, flood maps. We do not provide information about that, but we do tell them where to go get the information themselves, right? We would have to update our information every single day if we were going to be the ones to hand it to them. But honestly, we don't want to do that. We'd far rather give them a page just like this. This is a wonderful page. I might even just use this, because then it's not your opinion of where to get the information. This is Texas Realtor Association, where to get the information. So if they're worried about air quality or worried about traffic, there you go. They can get all that information from someone that's not you, and yet you don't have to hide from it. You can share how to get all this information with them. And then just a reminder, while we're talking about scams and crime, that we are under an obligation with our license that if we are charged with a crime or any sort of a felony, that you must disclose it to the commission, even if you, regardless kind of how you're pleading and all those kind of things, you are responsible to report it to them. We are now seeing realtors be charged with fraud, hundreds of thousands of dollars in fraud in some cases, over PPP loans. Some of them took those loans when they really didn't have employees, and one lady in Miami got arrested because she bought a Bentley with her PPP loan. Good grief. But just so you know, we are held to a higher standard. The expectation is that we are not criminals, and that's fair because we're going in and out of people's homes. So make sure that an unreported felony or an unreported criminal offense involving fraud is reason for you to lose your license and be charged with some pretty heavy financial penalties. So, okay, that is the end of that. And I hope that you guys will really encourage the rest of your office to watch this recording. This is happening every single day. And we are getting to a point where it's been in our realtor magazine. The associations have sent out bulletins. We're getting to the point where if we're not discussing it with our client, we are actually being negligent. So let's make sure that we're aware of all the scams going on and that we have all of our antenna up and are ready to help protect our people. So hopefully this was helpful. Anything else for you guys?
I'm
All
good.
right.
Thank you, Ann. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Dennis. I appreciate you being here. All right. Thank you guys so much. See you soon.